Hello, Slim Overton here, and coming to you from the Slim Nation. And outside walking in my community, the old community I grew up and still live in, and it's called Arcadia Heights in the city of Portsmouth, Virginia. And just wanted to show you something, if I can switch. Well, it doesn't look like I can switch, but anyway, I can turn around and you can see this field behind me. This is field behind Pinewell Street and Pinewell Circle, what we used to call it. And behind the houses was a field, which was our play area. A lot of times it was full of weeds. It was a strip of land that was owned by someone else. And the houses that abutted to it, property went to a certain point, and then the field started. Uninterrupted field, but actually this is where we used to play, and it's kind of still here, minus the tall weeds, and it's behind the houses and still separately owned by a family that doesn't keep it up as much until they're forced to. But anyway, it's funny. This is a field we actually played in. Look at it. And well, no computers back then, so we had to come out and make our own way. Used to be a lot of grasshoppers out here. We did, and I'm sure it was some snakes. Well, occasionally we would find a green snake, and you know, as young boys, we weren't afraid of anything. We pick them up. I wouldn't touch them nowadays, but anyway, there were frogs, but mostly we saw grasshoppers. But it was so many of us out here, so very seldom we ran across something that might harm us, because it was so many of us scared them away. And way in the back there, we built a basketball court, and we spent most of our time back here in the field. Even at night, we would come out here and had a barrel and start a fire and just stand around it. Go back in the house smelling like smoke. Parents didn't say anything, as long as they knew where we were. They knew what we were doing, and it was just amazing how the community was and how safe. And it was a community of about 3 streets adjacent to Truxton, North Truxton. And when they built Arcadia Heights, it was going to be called West Truxton, but they already had historic Truxton and North Truxton, so they decided to just name it Arcadia Heights, 3 streets. And most of the people that grew up in Arcadia Heights came out okay, you know. A lot of us are still around. Some of us are gone, of course. A lot of us are in our 60s and 70s, the group that I grew up with. And as far as the parents that grew up in the neighborhood, most of them are gone, but we still have a few originals. Miss Williams, Miss Clark, and that's about it. And we have some second generations that moved into the house that they lived in, like my parents. I moved into the house I was raised in. And we have George Smith and Patience Smith still live on Pinewell Street. So quite interesting that we all came out. And it's a few of us fellas that most months we get together and meet and eat down at Roger Brown's. And it's fun to get together with those guys. As a matter of fact, we're going to do it next Wednesday. Sometime we might miss a few months, but usually somebody reminds us we need to get together, and it's usually Reggie Moss. And the other guys that get together is Bill and Joe Parker, Leonard White, occasionally Michael Hughes, occasionally James Rawls, Colin Baybrough, and myself. We get together. But those first ones I mentioned, it's always the basis of the guys that get together. And we have a good time. Sit down there and talk about things we did in the neighborhood. And there's the running joke with us is when we first got, we've been doing it for quite a while now. I'm sure over 5 years, maybe much more than that. And the joke is when we first got together, we talk about the girls from the neighborhoods, the girls we have known. And now when we get together, we talk about our ailments. You know, who has hip replacement, who has prostate surgery, and all that kind of stuff. But it's just a joy to get together with these guys and just have good conversation. I think this is something that we all should do if you have the opportunity. Get together with your fellow neighbors that you grew up with and just have a conversation. You can't tell us that when we get together, we're not solving world problems. If we had the right people listening to us, we have all the answers and the solutions. But anyway, I'm gonna do some more walking in the neighborhood and I'll be back to you. Hey, I'm back, still walking in the neighborhood. Of course, this is James Slim Overton from Slim Nation. And just taking a walk in the neighborhood like we all should do. Haven't taken a walk in a long time. But now I'm on Arcadia Avenue and Arcadia Street. Well, anyway, I'm on Arcadia. Of course, the community is called Arcadia Heights. These are some of the houses that are out here. A lot of them are originals. Of course, we have some that are new, fill-ins. Some of the original homes were torn down and replaced with new housing. And that's okay. That's okay. I still hope that some of the older homes remain to keep the character and of the neighborhood. But you never know. You always have to give in to progress and years. This neighborhood probably been around since the 40s. I remember being here during the 50s. I was born in 54. So I came here in about 58. And my parents had been here for a while. So that's why I said it had to be about the 40s, the late 40s, when Arcadia Heights was formed. Thriving neighborhood. A lot of teachers lived out here. That's how it was back then. You might live beside your math teacher, your homeroom teacher, your first grade teacher, and your preacher from the neighborhood churches, which a lot of the people in the neighborhood went to back then because not everybody had cars. So it was easier to walk to one of the neighborhood churches like Noble Street, Mount Carmel Baptist, two of the main churches in the neighborhood back in the day, and which are still here today and still in operation. But again, these are still on Arcadia. I'm walking down the street, headed towards Portsmouth Boulevard, which is the main highway through many neighborhoods. It's where, when you're leaving the neighborhood between Portsmouth Boulevard and Frederick Boulevard, is the only way you can get out of here. But they're the main highways that run all the way through Portsmouth. Both of them. And it was a big part of our life growing up too, because a lot of times if we wanted to go to the store, we had to cross Portsmouth Boulevard. Of course, the traffic wasn't as busy as it is now, but it was busy enough for a little kid, so we had to be careful. That old saying, look both ways before you cross. There's the famous Hobson Street that leads you into historic Truxton, the original Truxton, original neighborhood Truxton. And it came here, and all these other neighborhoods around it sort of grew from it, from the original Truxton. I think it was 1919 when it was established. A year after Craddock neighborhood was established. So it's a historic designation community. Nope. Walk through some trees there. That's what happens when you're kind of tall. You walk down the sidewalk and you walk into tree branches. The only time I wish I was short. But anyway, I'm not going to be up here much longer. I just wanted to share with you during my walk through the neighborhood. Nice fall afternoon. And I'll be going to my high school games tonight. They're playing Booker T. I.C. Norcom's playing Booker T. A tradition that has lasted for almost 60 years. Well, over 60 years now. They've been playing each other. And tonight is one of those times where they continue that tradition. One of the last two original high school for blacks in the Hampton Roads area. All the other ones have been closed, turned into junior high schools or middle schools today. But I.C. Norcom and Booker T. Washington is still in existence. So we're proud of that. So this is Portsmouth Boulevard. And many of you in Portsmouth know about Portsmouth Boulevard and how busy it can be. But I'm gonna turn around and go back down Arcadia and head back to the house. But I just wanted to talk a little bit about the importance of voting again. We can't say it enough. You can see what's happening nationally. You can see what's happening statewide. You can see what's happening locally. If you can see what's happening in all those different places, areas, there's no reason why you should not vote. Why you should be sitting home saying my vote doesn't count or I just don't feel like it. If we sit down this time, and these are the midterms when we usually sit down, we're going to lose a lot. We don't need, as Democrats, and if you're a Republican, you can beg to differ with me, but I'm a Democrat, so I can say how I feel. If we lose the House and the Senate back to the Republicans, a whole lot of things are going to change, or a lot of things are not going to go forward. And I know you and even myself have some issues with the Democrats as well. It's all about politics. But when we have two choices, I would have to go with the Democrats. And then it's up to us after that to put pressure on them, hoping that there's enough of them that care that will listen to us, the voters. We know a situation in a Trump-led Republican Party. Hopefully Trump will go down. But he's going to fight to the last minute. And we don't see, history hasn't shown us people like him to go down. And he knows that, or at least he feels that. But hopefully he's feeling the heat now. And we need to make sure that they pursue what they're pursuing. They have enough on him. They've had enough on him for a long time now. But hopefully this is the one that will bring him down, or at least get him away from politics. And he's going to always have his followers. You're going to always have those people that feel like him and need that kind of voice out there. And that's why he carries so much weight. But anyway, locally, let's make sure we get out there and vote. It's not too long away, November 8th. We have to do our part here. And regardless of how you feel or who your candidate is, just make sure now, a lot of people are voting now, a lot of people have made up their mind. But if you haven't, make sure you vet, make sure you know exactly who you are voting for, who that person is that you're going to make your leader. It's very important. Those 4 years can make a difference in your life, my life, everybody's life. And we see what we're going through now because some decisions were made at a point where we thought, or a lot of people thought, they were good moves. Especially to have 6 blacks on city council. Hasn't turned out too well. So let's make sure we get out there and vote. Look, thank you everybody, and we'll see you next time. Next time I get out here and walk, which will be real soon. I have to take it up and think about health. We'll talk about health next time. Thank you. Slim Overton from the Slim Nation. Take care.